whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're going to hurt some people.
Whose car are we going to take?
On the Nikki Medoro Show, live on YouTube. It's a wonderful hump day. It's Wednesday. It's kind of cold outside, at least in our neck of the woods, but it's supposed to warm up this weekend. Great show on tap. We'll get into San Francisco. There is something that started inside a Starbucks in San Francisco that I wonder if will spread as cities like San Francisco try to deal with the rise in homelessness and crime. And does it make good business sense? So we'll discuss that. Speaking of coffee, I will touch on my video. If you follow me on social media, any of my social media platforms, you would have seen my video. I'll play it. I am on the hunt. Ever since last Friday was National Coffee Cake Day, I shared my love of a particular coffee cake, and I am on the hunt. And I have people from coast to coast on the hunt for said coffee cake. I am losing hope. I'm going to be honest. I truly don't believe I will ever get it. But I have people on the lookout, so we'll get into that. Something fun. We do have we have some other food news. Calvin Wong is the de facto producer. Sends us all kinds of stories, which I love, Calvin. He has a food recommendation, and he did it the right way. So I'll let you know about that. Also, Clark Reed will be joining us. We will get into some tech news, including Twitter news. Elon Musk is basically getting rid of Twitter, taking away the name, those sorts of things. And I'll play you some of that BBC interview. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but many are saying this BBC reporter just wasn't prepared. Elon Musk wiped the floor with him. And of course, I'll let you guys decide who won it. And does it matter if evidence can be provided later? So we'll touch on that. Also, in other tech news, we'll be talking about EVs. In the second part of the show, we'll get into the EPA basically saying electric vehicles are going to make up most of the U.S. new car market very, very shortly. And so what does that mean? Are you looking now to get one? Because you know what's going to happen. Everyone's going to want to get their hands on one, and then you're not going to be able to get one. Could this be the beginning of the end for fossil fuels? It could be a good thing and a bad thing. So we'll talk about that. Also, food allergies. It's allergy season. Spring is here. But what if you have a food allergy? And how much should businesses accommodate food allergy? And does it pay for them, or does it pay to just basically do what needs to be done to help people not have a fatal allergy, a possibly fatal allergy attack inside your business? All right, we're going to get to all that. But first, please click that thumbs up button to show support of the show. The super chat, of course, is live. And again, the super chat, look for the $ under the live chat box, and you can throw a super comment, a super sticker, a super thanks. But I have really been pushing more than the super chat, although I love it. And I love seeing the comments and the donations during the actual show. And many of you do it even in the replay, which thank you. But also looking for more Medorables in my life. And, I have to bring up the email that I received from one of my viewers regarding Medorables. We'll get into that. There was a whole kind of question of how to spell it and a Jacob's song at the end, all those sorts of things. So we'll get into that later on in the show. But if you want to be a Medorable, my friends, it's very, very simple. Go to theNikkiMedoroShow.com, theNikkiMedoroShow.com, and all of the links that you need are there to our Patreon. And when you become a monthly subscriber to our Patreon, you become a Medorable officially. Also links to our PayPal. There's the email, theNikkiMedoroShow@gmail.com. Also, links to our merchandise shop where you can get tote bags and cups and t-shirts and all sorts of things. A blanket is the newest thing that we have on the merch shop. So yeah, it's going to be a fun time had by all today. We're really going to get into it. Oh, look at people starting us off on the super chat. Thank you so much, John, with a $20 super donation. John, thank you also for a $1 one. Give me $1 and give me $20. So thank you, John, so very much. I really do appreciate it. And again, just look for that $sign. And we do appreciate all of you that watch the show on replay. Most of you do. I get that. But if you can ever catch it live, not to toot everybody's own horn that's watching it live right now, you guys are hilarious. Great community. So if you can make it here at noon Pacific time, it really is fun. And we do have some great conversations. Okay, so let's get into this. First off, let's get the food out of the way because I'm another thing I love about doing this show with all of you is you're there for me. You really are there for me. Thank you so much. So Fridays, I love Fridays because I do a Friday food segment. And sometimes it's just eating something, like last Friday was National Coffee Cake Day. Sometimes it's food recommendations. Sometimes I'm in the mood. Sometimes you give recommendations. So Calvin Wong, I'm giving you a shout out, sent me a ramen recommendation, and it's in San Jose. See, Calvin, you get it. It needs to be, and I know that limits a bit, but it needs to be in San Jose. Look, I live in San Jose. I broadcast from San Jose, and you know what? If truth be told, and we're going to get into San Francisco and everything happening out there in a minute, but sometimes when you talk about the Bay Area, it is so San Francisco centric, right? When you look at some of the best restaurants, a lot of them happen to be in San Francisco for many different reasons. A lot of chefs are drawn there. Obviously, it has been a huge tourist destination, blah, blah, blah. I don't live there. And if I want to do a Friday food segment and I want my food fresh, it needs to be local to me. So Calvin gave me, and I did, Calvin, see this. I read this article. I think it was in KQED. And they were talking about this ramen place called Ramen Champ, San Jose. Or Ramen Champ. It's just in San Jose with their website. And so I'm going to get that on Friday if anyone wants to join me. Apparently they have this ramen that's huge, like thick noodles, thick cut pork, all that sort of thing. So Calvin and others that maybe have eaten at Ramen Champ, send me the recommendation of not only which ramen to get, because I'm leaning towards the habanero, because I like my spice, but also I'm not a huge ramen eater except Top Ramen, and then I just add my own beef and like a couple vegetables. But how should I get it? I know I need to get an egg, which I don't normally do. I like hard-boiled eggs, but I don't normally get it in ramen. So let me know. I need the tips and tricks and what to put in it to make it perfect. And I'll have that on Friday. But staying kind of in the food realm, did you guys see my social media video? So I'm going to play it for you. If you saw it already, you just watch it again. It's less than a minute. So this is what happened last Friday, just to catch everybody up if you weren't here. It was National Coffee Cake Day. Now, I was going to make coffee cake, but then I just went to the grocery store, and then I started bitching and moaning about the fact that I can no longer find what I believe to be the best coffee cake that I used to get. I mean, I grew up in a household where I've told you guys this before. My dad was a bread delivery guy at grocery stores. And so what happens when you're truck drivers, delivery guys, you got to barter and swap stuff, right? Extra stuff. It's nothing illegal. Okay. We always had bread. And he also was able to bring home the Entenmann's cheese-filled crumb coffee cake. Here's my video.
You know when you're really looking for something and you can't seem to find it? I'm looking for that, with that name, made by Entenmann's. Do you see that? Do you see the thick cream filling and the crumb on the top? I dream of this coffee cake. And you guys keep sending me pictures of like Danish rings and things at grocery stores. This is what I want. This is all I want. I want it in that box. I want it that length. I want it from Entenmann's, and I want it in my mouth. So can you help me?
Because I love you. Who was it? I have it. And I'm not knocking you. Brenda. Brenda was one of the many people that interviewed me, emailed me to give me recommendations. And she was the one that sent me the Danish ring. And once I got the email from Brenda, I was like, look, that looks delicious. And it did, Brenda. I'm not knocking it. It's not what I'm looking for. I'm very specific. I drove on Saturday with my best friend to Concord from San Jose. So it's about an hour to go to a sushi place. And why did I do that? Because there was a specific thing I want on the menu. I am willing to put in the time and effort to do this. Okay. And so, and if you want to know the sushi place, it's called Mikuni's. It's bomb. When I lived in Sacramento, they had a bunch of locations. They finally came to the Bay Area, but not close enough in my opinion. But anyways, if you ever go to Mikuni's, I'm going to give them a huge shout out for free. Get the barbecue white tuna. It comes with a white sauce and a red sauce. Get both. Get the 5-piece. Don't share it. It's all yours. My best friend and I, we go there. We get our own. No sharing involved. And get it lightly seared. Sometimes they overcook it a little bit. Not really. They just do it normal, but I like it very lightly seared. Oh, so good. But anyways, I digress. So I put out this video yesterday on my Entenmann's. And it's amazing how many people have a memory of this coffee cake. Now, what I've come to the conclusion of, everyone's like, oh, it's on Instacart. And they're sending me, no, people. No. Now, Entenmann's has the mini coffee cakes with no cheese inside. But that's why I was specifying the length, the box, the name specifically. And then I'm beginning to wonder, is it even on my side of the country? Because people started looking on the other side. And then I learned that sometimes it's only in some areas, like some cities get it, which I don't understand as a business model, Entenmann's, of why certain places get something and other places don't. So I have a sister in Kentucky who I adore. Sarah, I love you. So she's in Kentucky. And so she went to look. She's emailing Entenmann's. She screenshotted me the conversation. They're looking it up for her. She said, I am willing to drive 100 miles. That's how much she loves me. I love you. To get this coffee cake. And they're like, nope, it's not here. We discontinued it. Then my other sister, who lives in Florida, she says that it's in her grocery store. So this is where we're at with my search. No, I cannot, Karen. Believe me. I went to the Entenmann's website and it fools you. It shows the freaking picture, right? Shows you the picture of exactly what I want. And then all of a sudden you hit order online and it asks for your zip code. And I even put zip codes back east. Nope. I can't seem to do it. So my sister in Florida has wrote me, and she's like, because she'll send me like devil dogs and things that you can only find back east. She sends them to my husband, really. I'm not a huge devil dog fan, but my husband loves them. And she told me that it's in her grocery store. She told me it was in my grocery store. And I was like, okay, because this is what I'm going to do. Once I get an update, and let's welcome Kim McAllister to my bitch session about coffee cake. So I don't know. Did you see my video from yesterday? Did you see my? Okay.
Did you make a short?
I did. Okay, I'm going to show it again. It's less than a minute.
Okay.
Just to kind of bring Kim McAllister up to speed. Okay. So once again, because you remember, Kim, last Friday was National Coffee Cake Day.
Right.
I got off on my tangent on how I want a specific coffee cake.
Right.
I can't find it anymore.
What is the specific coffee cake?
Here you go.
You know when you're really looking for something and you can't seem to find it? I'm looking for this, that, with that name, made by Entenmann's. Do you see that? Do you see the thick cream filling and the crumb on the top? I dream of this coffee cake. And you guys keep sending me pictures of like Danish rings and things at grocery stores. This is what I want. This is all I want. I want it in that box. I want it that length. I want it from Entenmann's and I want it in my mouth. So can you help me?
I want it in that box. I want it in that length and I want it in my mouth.
I want it. Damn it.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, everyone's on the hunt, Kim. I have family back east. I'm learning. Even our friend Brian Pelletier is
Yeah.
on the hunt for this coffee cake for me. Now, if it doesn't happen, I'm going to start a petition. So I'm going to ask all of my Medorables or want to be Medorables. If this happens, we are going to start a petition because if Taco Bell can bring back the freaking Mexican pizza, I can get Entenmann's to bring back this coffee cake because I've learned that it is one of the most popular coffee cakes for people back east.
Well, are they just not making it anymore?
And
Or
I'm
why-
So this is what I've learned, and I don't know if this is true everywhere. Some places have it and some places don't.
Oh.
And no, Calvin, I don't want to make it. Do you guys not understand what I'm saying? I can make anything. I don't want to make it. I want the dream of what I remember when I grew. I mean, I can't even explain to you how many of these coffee cakes I ate growing up. Almost weekly, I probably ate one of these coffee cakes in
I
its
found
entirety.
this. I found
Yep.
this on.
One of these people. Nope. Does that
Can you
say?
believe they sell coffee cake on eBay?
Oh, I could totally believe it. But do you
But
see that there's no cheese?
doesn't have the
filled?
filling, but it looks similar otherwise.
Right. So my son loves those. Okay. Loves the mini cakes. Now I'll tell you this, Entenmann's. You make a mini size, you make mini cheese filled crumb coffee cake. Oh, dude, I will buy you out every time I'm at the store because that would be great for my portion control.
This
But
seems
they
like
don't have
serious
it.
business, this search for coffee cake.
Oh, it is now. I am
Ooh.
on a mission. So my sister in Florida claims, she wrote to me, she's totally has my hopes up that it's in her grocery store. She says, I have it in my grocery store. And I'm like, okay.
What happens when you try to, because it says here on the Entenmann's website
So
that you can
Kim's gonna
buy
go
it on the
try.
Entenmann's
Yeah,
website.
go ahead, try. Go ahead. Go ahead and try. It doesn't happen. It doesn't. You go, it asks for your zip code, and then you hit buy online. It does nothing. I've gone through this misery, but you can go through it. It's fine. Everybody's done it. People send me links. They're like, Instacart can do it. I'm like, no, they
No,
don't.
we're not able to find any results in 10 miles or 20 miles.
Or
Apparently
hundreds
5
of miles.
miles.
Somebody also emailed me and
Oh.
said in Medford, Oregon, there's like a unknown kind of grocery store. They're willing to email it to the San Jose post office for me, but they have to find it first. If you find it, you can.
You can
Okay.
Instacart it.
No, you can't. I love you. I love you. I've tried all of these things, my friend.
It's not working out for you.
Vilma, my sister in Kentucky,
Mm.
did. She had an interaction with an Entenmann's representative in Kentucky, and they said they discontinued it anywhere within 100 miles because she was willing to drive 100 miles for me to get this.
Sure.
So yeah, if I get it, I mean, send it all to me. I don't care if 50 of you find it for me. I will pay you for them. Okay. We will have a coffee cake party. Everybody can we'll meet in a public place. Everyone bring your own cup of coffee and we'll all eat this coffee cake together.
Well, it tells me that at the Glen Ellen Village Market, I can pick it up by 1:50 this afternoon.
Okay. You pick it up. I'll pay you back.
18 miles away. Oh.
You're like,
You want me-
I'm not into the coffee cake.
You want me to drive to Glen Ellen for coffee cake? I might have to do
bet
it.
you they don't have it. I bet call them first.
Okay.
Call
I'll
them
do
and be
it.
like, I want to know if it's a cheese-filled crumb coffee cake. Because that's the thing.
That's
They'll be like, oh, yeah, we have
funny.
Entenmann's. No, you have Entenmann's, but do you have this? One of my friends that I know through my kid's school, she's from back east. And she said this coffee cake, this specific coffee cake is the and in coffee and whatever. Like that is what people eat. So why Entenmann's? Why would you do this to
Wow.
me? So anyways, that's my,
I've never seen you so passionate about coffee cake
I
before.
get really passionate about things that I want.
Yeah, you do.
And especially, it usually has to do with food. You know why? Because food is tied to memories.
Yeah.
And God, is there a black market for this coffee cake? I don't know, man. I'll buy a freaking Bitcoin if I need to freaking do it. And I'm just kidding. I know, right? I should reach out and be like, can you come on and explain your
Yeah.
thought process? I'll reach out to Entenmann's. I'll reach out to their PR. I'll see if they'll come on. Like, what is your thought process on discontinuing something that you know they have all the ingredients? I know they have the ingredients. It's like Taco Bell. Come on.
Yeah.
You got the tortilla, you got the meat. Just make it the way I want it. put it in this certain order, and give it to me.
Did you not eat this morning before the show? Is that what happened?
By the show.
Are you
I'm
hangry?
I'm actually not hangry. I'm not hangry at all. Passion is what I am.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. All right.
Well, now you've made it all of our mission is what happened there.
Oh yeah. No, you had the response I had because I put this on all my social media feeds, that video that I just showed you.
Yeah.
And the response has been amazing, but everybody hasn't been able to actually find it. That's the thing. And that's why I'm going to start a petition if it actually cannot be found. I'm pinning all my hopes on my sister in Florida. I really am. Brian Pelletier might be able to find it too. I haven't heard from him, but he said he's going to poke around and see.
Well, apparently it's in Glen Ellen. So Kay in Santa Rosa drives right by tomorrow and check for you. And now everyone at the grocery store is going to make a special point to roll down the bread aisle and check for Entenmann's.
Yes, but remember, it has to be the cheese-filled crumb coffee cake. Do not send me pictures of mini coffee cakes with no cheese inside. I know that those exist. I know I can get them at the grocery store. Now, speaking of coffee, did you see this? What do you think about this? Hold on, I got a picture. This is a Starbucks in San Francisco that has no tables and no chairs.
What, are they laying on the ground in there?
There's somebody sitting on the floor. Apparently, Starbucks, this particular one, has removed all of its seating.
Yeah.
Now, this happened earlier this year. It's a downtown San Francisco location. And then another store followed suit on 18th Street. Now, apparently, one Starbucks manager says, I can't comment on it, but a barista was interviewed and said he believes Starbucks eliminated seating due to homeless individuals and people with mental illnesses around the neighborhood. He added that Starbucks does not adequately train team members to manage stressful situations, and the chain would rather, quote, remove the seating, close the bathroom, and not deal with it. What do you think about that? I mean, because Starbucks used to be the place where you would go, you're going to work, you maybe have a meeting. It's a meeting place.
Right. People stay there for hours and work and keep ordering things. And so they lose that type of business. But you know what? You've got, for people that don't have anywhere to be, you've got just a couple places that are hangouts, right? You've got the library, the public library, where a lot of homeless people will go. You see them trying to bathe in the sinks at the library and hanging out in the library because it's a place to go and have a seat and, be in the air conditioning or be sheltered from the rain or what have you. Or you've got places like Starbucks where you can go in, take a seat. And what happens though, is that the reason that maybe not everyone, but the reason for homelessness in some cases is drug addiction, mental illness.
Yeah.
Right. What have you. And so then you have people like that are going into Starbucks and scaring away the customers. So they probably would rather just sell the coffee and get everybody out of there.
Yeah.
Rather than have to deal with what happens when you've got, people trying to be there as customers and other people trying to be there, just because they have nowhere else to go.
Right. And it's a delicate balance. But when you're talking about Starbucks that kind of made a name for itself as being this location where you had your coffee and you stayed, are they going to be missing out on a lot of business, or are they already missing out on all this business because of it? Now, Mindy makes a good point. Public toilets are important. I agree. If you're tired of seeing people defecate on the street, it's likely, not all the time. Okay. I'm not going to speak in, that broad of a brush because people have mental illness and could probably defecate right next to a working bathroom in some cases. But a lot of people, all the public restrooms are shut. You see signs everywhere that say no public toilets and they got to go. You can't hold it forever, So I do get that, but does it have to be Starbucks? Amy said, and this is the Starbucks in her neighborhood. She says, I do just come in there every Tuesday morning and just squat down on the floor and take a dump literally every week. I'm assuming not her, but people do that all the time. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's really, Mindy brings up also the drive-through. Should more of them just go to the drive-through model? It can't fit in every single location, obviously. Because
it really takes away the whole, I don't want to call it magic, but I will. Magic of the coffee house, right? Where it becomes more of just a place for kids to go study. You know, my daughter will go to Starbucks with her friend and they study after school in a little table. Or for like my husband works remotely, and sometimes it's he wants to get out of the house and be around people. So, you know, when you're 100% remote, sometimes you miss that being around people. So he'll go to a coffee house, not Starbucks usually, but he has in the past, where you get a table and, you know, and they do more business that way because people keep ordering things.
Yeah.
You know, you keep getting refills on your coffee or whatever. So that whole thing will be gone. If your only point is just, you know, sell coffee and move it along, then I guess we'll see only Starbucks drive-thrus now.
Yeah.
What's the point of having what's the point of having the indoor space? There's no reason.
Exactly. You know, it might be interesting to use that space for something else. You know, it literally, as you were talking, it just kind of popped in. You have all this empty space, you know, maybe homeless outreach or something. Like if people are coming there that need help and you're trying to find a place where these people hang out and converge, possibly there. I know that's not really going to happen, but it's just one of those questions where now if they have all the space that they're not utilizing for seating, are there going to be fewer Starbucks because they're just going to close down shop because they don't need all of that? There used to be a coffee kind of hut. I don't know if you have many coffee huts in your town, but there used to be one of my best friends, oldest friends, used to work out called Drinks. I think it's still there actually. I don't know if it's in the same location. I don't know if they had more than one location, but she used to work at this, and it was just a house, like a coffee house, little barn in the middle of a parking lot, and people would just drive through. That could be an answer instead of, you know, having to rent an entire building just for people to walk in. Again, it's a traffic thing, though. You have to be able to do it. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think it's probably going to grow more and more. Starbucks, I mean, getting rid of their tables and their chairs. We have Clark Reed.
Sad.
I know, but it is what's happening. Now we're going to talk to Clark Reed about Twitter and things like that, but we're going to keep it in the vein of San Francisco after that conversation. Because this morning, Mayor London Breed was on with KTVU, and I want to play for you a little bit of that interview that she did.
So nice that she's allowed that she gives interviews to certain stations.
She would never come on Station X for some godforsaken reason. But yeah, they have a whole weekly thing that they do. But the reason why I'm playing this one specifically is in light of Bob Lee, remember the founder of Cash App, being murdered and stabbed to death. And then, of course, what we're talking about here with Starbucks getting rid of seats because of homeless and crime. The mayor is asked by Gaston Miguelian, you know, what's going on in the city. And it was kind of a testy exchange. And so I'll play a little bit of it for you. And you tell me if the mayor of San Francisco has a bit of a point, because she is pointing to something quite specific as to the reason why San Francisco has the reputation of being so crime and homeless ridden. And I'm not quite sure if people are buying it. Although when you take that excuse and apply it to something else, people do seem to believe it. So we'll talk about that. Also, we will get into a story I know that Kim is following. The EPA has a new proposal that could make electric vehicles most of the new car sales before even that deadline of 2035 that was set by Governor Newsom. It's 2035, right? Where all new cars have to be EVs. So yeah, the EPA proposal and what has to happen for that to happen. And how many of you are on the waiting list or looking now for an EV, even though that timeline is a bit of the ways off. But before we get to any of that, please click the thumbs up button to show support of the show. I really do appreciate it. And of course, the super chat is live. Let me give some thanks. Rosalie with a $20 super sticker. I appreciate you so much. John, $20 and $1. Thank you, John, so very much. I appreciate all the donations. It goes straight to me and Kim after, of course, Google taking its hit. And of course, if you want to become a Medorable, please do. There is the website to do it. Become a Patreon subscriber, thenikkimedoroshow.com, thenikkimedoroshow.com. Did you want to add something, my friend?
I misspoke. It's not 2035, it's 2032.
Oh, it is 2032. Okay, so that's why the date was 2032. Okay, well, we'll talk about that EPA proposal also later on in the show. But first, let's take a look at some headlines.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
I'm frozen in time again, so I'll just use my picture. All right, so let's talk about the Justins. I'm telling you guys, this Democratic lawmaker Justin Pearson, featured here, is getting back his Tennessee legislative seat. Pearson was expelled from the Tennessee state legislature after holding a protest on the floor, breaking House rules. A different council voted to reinstate Representative Justin Jones, who is also black, after breaking the same rules. So it now looks like both of these men who are ousted for protesting gun violence in the state of Tennessee after a school shooting will be getting their seats in the legislature back. Irish police lost a sensitive document ahead of President Biden's speech in Northern Ireland. A U.S. law enforcement official says a local resident, unfortunately, found this document, which detailed sensitive security information related to President Biden's visit. Names of Belfast police and postings were on that document. Nothing, though, related to the Secret Service was exposed. But who's leaving documents laying around like that? No, thank you. Not good. Speaking of electric vehicles, as Nikki was, the EPA wants about 70% of all new vehicles sold in the United States by 2032 to be all electric. White House and EPA officials trying to achieve this by pushing new pollution standards, forcing the auto industry to sell many more electric vehicles in order to meet the requirements. Republican critics are calling it an overreach by the EPA, claiming there aren't enough charging stations and that the strain it would probably put on the U.S. power grid makes this one a no-go. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, 2032 approaches very fast. Can we get all these charging stations up in time?
Well, I was going to add this when we were talking about it, but Taco Bell, one of my favorite places, last year actually announced that they're going to start putting in electric charging stations. We need to make it advantageous for businesses to add these. We need to give them tax breaks. We need to money talks, right? So if we're going to set a goal, you would hope and pray that there is something within the writing of these bills and these plans where businesses are going to get the funding to do this. Just looking at a business and being like, oh, put a charging station there. No, charging stations, in my opinion, will have to be as common as parking spaces.
Right.
Where we need to get to.
When you saw in California during the, power emergency, in the summer when it was 100 degrees for a week or more,
right?
That people were told not to plug in their electric vehicles during certain hours, which was like most of the afternoon and evening. So until we get a handle on our power grid, if you have everybody with an electric vehicle, 70% of people with an electric vehicle, and everyone's trying to plug in and we've got a power situation happening, we have to do better with our grid. I'm not saying it's not good for the environment or it's, we need to move away from gasoline, but we have to put some things into place first where people are actually going to be able to drive the vehicles that they're purchasing. Because if you have everyone with an electric car in the driveway and no way to power it up, that's a problem.
Yeah, Kim writes, apartment complexes will need them. Totally true. Yeah. Not everyone can get close enough to their house to get them, like houses on busy streets with no garages. And then PT says hybrids make sense until the electrical infrastructure is fully developed. Right. It's not just the charging stations, it's the electricity. Exactly. Also,
have you seen your power bill lately?
Oh, I know. Well, compared to my gas.
What is it going to be more expensive than gasoline to charge up your car?
But but in the next half of the show, we're going to talk about the fact that new data is looking promising, not getting rid of fossil fuels, but that kind of renewable energy, global wind, solar, that the creation of it, being used on the grid hit record levels last year. So it could be not the end of fossil fuels, because I think there's always going to be a place for fossil fuels. But if we can get better with this, if we can have these charging stations powered by solar, obviously that's not going to be universal and depends on a lot of factors, but we need to get better there. And so we have some time, but we got to move a hell of a lot more quickly.
Yeah, I'm concerned. I have big concerns, Nikki. Big concerns. Okay. All right. So let us move on. I have a picture here of it's Nancy and Diane, but the story really relates to Diane on the left. some Democratic activists and media outlets are calling for California Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein to resign. They say her absence is delaying Senate confirmation for President Biden's judicial nominees. We know how serious this is, right? We need the justices to be confirmed and on the courts. She's been out sick with a continued shingles illness since March 7th, and she's working from home. That according to her office. Her absence, combined with that of Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania, is cutting down on the Democrats' already narrow 51-49 advantage in the Senate. Senator Feinstein has already announced she will not be seeking re-election next year, and she has nearly 2 years left to serve.
Yeah, she
down now, and if that happens and Governor Gavin Newsom has to appoint someone, or does she serve out the 2 years and the voters elect without the prejudice of having anyone already filling the seat?
Well, this is what I would say. I would say if she is not able to be there for these very important confirmations, somebody does need to be. And why are we kind of slow rolling this when there's work that needs to be done? I'm not saying that she needs to be forced out, and of course she didn't ask to get shingles. And believe me, my husband going through shingles, I understand how long it can take, honestly, to recoup, especially at the age of 89. I'm sure it's even longer, but maybe she should look at the situation and understand, kind of, again, putting your country before your own personal needs. And if Governor Newsom needs to appoint somebody just so we can get this stuff done, then let's do it. I mean, it seems obvious to me, but I know that there's a lot of people that are saying, she's been around for so long, we should wait and what have you. Yeah. But if we need to get these things done. There's no time to wait for some of this stuff.
So people get sick. People get sick and things happen like this. But I'm looking at the situation where if you already know that you're checking out, within the next 2 years, you're not going to be holding the seat anyway, you might as well just go.
Well, yeah, but it's easier said than done. Can I just add this caveat? And I was going to save it for tomorrow because I just ran out of time, but bringing this up, obviously the GOP and, maybe, I don't even know if maybe some of her challengers are involved in this, but you could tell that Katie Porter is being taken seriously as a possible replacement because the attacks have begun. The Daily Mail, I'll have more details again tomorrow, but the Daily Mail dug up all of the files from Katie Porter's divorce, and they're trying to make her out to be a spousal abuser.
Really?
Now, again, we'll kind of get into this, but again, I think it's more playing politics. It's 1, she's divorced. 2, she has custody of the kids. 3, restraining orders went both ways. And 4, I'll go back to number 2. When a judge determines that somebody gets most of the custody, there's a reason for that. So I just think this is total playing politics, trying to make her look like an angry woman. She's out with a new memoir where she kind of gets into some of this. And so, the attacks on Katie Porter have begun, but I think that's because she is a very, very strong candidate to replace Senator Dianne Feinstein.
You know what bothers me about this is this is kind of old style politics, right? Where they come out and they dig all the dirt up on you and they fling all the poop around.
Absolutely. It's not old.
So, but why then is it okay for a man to be morally bankrupt? I refer you to Exhibit A, grab him by the P tape.
Of course.
Versus this one, Katie Porter, they'll dig up the dirt and people will actually pay attention to it and hear it and go, oh, she's a B word. She's she's not very nice. She's
an angry woman. She's a spousal abuser. Like, shut up. If you're a Trump supporter, you can't say anything.
There's an awful double standard here. I really worry about the fact that this could have flight, get some wings on it. And I don't think that's fair. I think you have men cheating and men showing that they can't keep their promises that they've made to their spouse. Why should they be able to keep their promises to a country?
Yeah.
You've got, obviously former President Trump and some incredibly questionable things in his past. And because she's a woman, Joe, that's exactly right.
That's it.
So I'm not going to pay attention to her divorce or
and it was years ago.
I don't even care.
Years ago. So no. But again, I'm just going to emphasize it's because She is a good candidate. Now, I'm not saying she's going to get it. I know Barbara Lee and Adam Schiff, they're strong candidates as well. I think a Republican just jumped in the race yesterday. Good luck. But I'm just saying, I like Katie Porter a lot. She has my vote. Absolutely. Hands down. I like Katie Porter. I think she's tough. I think she's clear, concise, and just what this country needs. So I have been very clear of my support of her.
Let's move on to this warning. Those free public phone charging stations at the airport? Well, they're all over the place, really.
Oh, yeah.
You can see it right there between those two people. They're all plugged in. They're sitting there. They think there's no problem. Untrue. The FBI is now warning consumers, don't do that. Steer clear of those things. The agency tweeting the people should avoid using these things in airports, hotels, shopping centers. They say bad actors have figured out how to introduce malware onto people's devices. It's known as juice jacking. Have you heard that term? Juice jacking.
I've heard of the risk of using these,
we have to ask Clark about this. But
let's bring Clark into it. So
it's juice jacking. Hi, Clark Reed.
No. Bringing me in on the juice jacking. What an intro.
Do you do this? Let me just ask Clark, do you charge in public charging stations?
No, $20 or $30, you can carry a little charging brick in your backpack that'll charge your phone for the next day.
Answer like that. Okay.
Do not do it. And also, don't use the public goddamn Wi-Fi. Use the hotspot on your phone if you're going to use your laptop or something, because that stuff isn't safe either. Never do either one of those things.
So what do they do, Clark? Because, and let me finish the story, and then I'll have a question for you. They say devices with compromised USB cables can be hijacked by taking your usernames, your password, and other data that they can steal. But what is it that because usually you have your own cord, right? And you stick your cord into the plug. Where is it that this happens? Is it done over the air where there's nearby or?
No, it's in your plug, because the USB-C plug on a lot of phones, or the lightning plug on an Apple, it doesn't just charge your phone, it carries data. And they can just hide a little unit, and it could be by Wi-Fi or by Bluetooth nearby, and they can just suck the data right out of your phone. You're plugged into it, and you have your phone open because you're using it. So they don't need to mess with your password or your fingerprint or any of the other stuff.
That's scary.
So is it that it's in that plug in the charging station, or if there's an actual charging cord that it's in their cord?
No, it's in the charging station, but they can they've compromised the plug. Once you've plugged into it, it's connected to a device with their malware on it. Sort of like what they can do at gas stations or grocery stores when you scan your credit card, and they've put a skimmer on there, as they call it. It's kind of the same technology.
So for that matter, then, if you plug in anywhere publicly, could you be putting yourself at risk?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, basically,
Clark.
Just bring your own battery. I mean, but it's true. I mean, that's basically what it means. Just bring your own battery.
I have 2 of them in my backpack. I just don't go without it. I mean, they're $20 or $30. They're not hundreds of dollars. They're cheap. So just take one with you, for heaven's sakes.
The Big Bang Theory. Here's another techie geek story for you guys.
Okay.
The Big Bang Theory, the nerd show that everyone loved,
I love that,
is getting a spinoff at HBO Max. At the media day announcing the new streaming service, Max, the company said the original show's co-creator is starting to develop another comedy series now. No plot details have been shared yet, but it looks to be an hour-long series with mostly new cast members, with possible Big Bang Theory main stars coming on in guest spots.
Oh, fine.
Cool.
I might give it a shot. We'll see.
So there you have it.
All right.
And this report could be sponsored by you. We are looking for sponsors on the Nikki Medoro Show. You can check us out at thenikkimedoroshow.com. The Nikki Medoro Show at gmail.com is the way to get a hold of us as well. I'm Kim McAllister on the Nikki Medoro Show.
Thank you, Kim.
I'm sorry, right. The organ music makes it sound like you're taking up the collection, Kim.
Yes, pass the plate.
There you go. Pass the plate.
Down.
There you go.
Throw in $1 for Nikki. Come on.
All right, so Clark Reed, thank you for joining us. He joins us every Wednesday for some tech news. Can we start, Clark, with Elon Musk? So yesterday's headline kind of threw me. So I'd like for you to explain exactly what's happening with Twitter. So is the brand Twitter going away, Or is it
Not
something
yet.
like a la Meta, where it's Facebook,
Yes.
but it's Meta?
Yes. He has a holding company that now owns all of the stock. And he didn't put this out, by the way. Some of the employees got notice that they weren't getting Twitter stock, the ones that are left anyway. They were getting stock in X Corporation. That's his company. And apparently Elon wants to roll Tesla and the Boring Company and Neuralink and SpaceX all under this umbrella, very much like Meta has, Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp, and like Google is under the umbrella of Alphabet. That's the plan. But right now, Twitter has the same name. However, he's probably at some point going to change the name because he wants to make it more like this Chinese app that's what he calls the Everything app. Which is WeChat. You can, send or buy or get money and shop and message each other and all this stuff without leaving the app. And that's what he wants to do. And he thinks it's going to be worth $250 billion.
Well,
good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly. I do want to play a little bit of video right here. Now, Elon Musk gave a very rare interview to the BBC. Here's a little bit of it.
Do you have any regrets about buying Twitter?
I think it was something that needed to be done. It's been quite difficult, I'd say that the pain level of Twitter has been extremely high. This hasn't been a party, so it's been really quite a stressful situation, for the last several months. Not an easy one, but apart from the pain, so it's been quite painful. But I think at the end of the day, it should have been done. I think. Were there many mistakes made along the way? Of course, but all's well that ends well.
All well that end well. Do you think some people are saying, him selling Twitter?
I don't know about that, but I am hearing that there's some pressure from Tesla and from the board over there because he hadn't set foot in that place in months.
Okay.
And I'm hearing there's some pressure there, with them, threatening to bring in somebody else to kind of help, move things along because he's not paying any attention to them. Yeah. And it's the only one that makes real money.
Exactly.
So, by the way, speaking of electric cars and money and Kim's, freaking out about, how are we going to get the power?
I was freaking out, Clark.
Well, Walmart has announced they're going to install thousands of fast charging stations. They're going to quadruple the number of stations they have at over 280 Walmarts. They're going to be at like thousands of Walmarts, apparently. And they claim they have a Walmart or a Sam's within 10 miles and 90% of the population of the country.
Yeah, but how many of those charging stations are they going to have per Walmart? Because if most of the cars in the parking lot are EVs, then
we do not know how many, but they say right now they're gonna quadruple them before 2024 is up. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
Change Walmart to Target, and maybe I'll go there.
Well, exactly.
But I'm not going to Walmart.
With that. And
I'm not going to give them any money to charge my car. They got nothing from
the other factor is General Motors just announced like $50 billion investment in a lithium extraction and refining startup called Energy X, no relation to Elon Musk's company. And the big deal with this is that right now, most of the lithium for lithium ion batteries comes from China, who can shut it down or throttle it or just use it for themselves. Well, this company is based in Austin, Texas and San Juan, Puerto Rico, and they are mining in North and South America. So no Chinese problem.
Okay. And, how quickly could that impact the actual lithium market as a benefit for the United States?
Apparently, GM thinks pretty fast because they need it to be able to hit the numbers they want to hit by 2030.
Oh, okay.
So they think that it's moving along pretty quickly. They'll be making them in the next several years. So, we'll see how that goes. It's a startup. So, who knows? Things can go sideways. But that was a pretty big deal, too.
Absolutely.
And I think you'll see other people besides Walmart starting to add charging stations. There's one, a shopping center over in Concord, the Willow Shopping Center, been there for years. And at the very back of it, behind Benihana, there are about 15 Tesla charging stations, all lined up in a row. Right.
So they have to change the adapters, right?
Yes.
If they want to all the cars.
But you'd be able to roll in there and plug in, and it's right off of 680 freeway. So.
There's one of those in Petaluma here in the Target Center as well. And they're great for people that own a Tesla. But if you're going to say 70% of electric vehicles in the United States by 2032 have to be electric vehicles, you're going to see a lot of vehicles that aren't Teslas.
Oh no, but
right?
they're switching over, and in fact, there are adapters already that you can carry in your car and plug in and everything.
Oh, well, that's
So
convenient.
you-
Okay,
yeah.
so if I buy a car that's not a Tesla, I get an
Yeah.
adapter so I can use
You
the
can-
Tesla.
Yeah, you
charger.
can get an adapter and use the Tesla. It's not
Oh.
quite as convenient. You can't use the Tesla app, obviously, but there is an app, and
Right.
it'll scan that in. You can pay it from your credit card and just plug in, charge up, and leave.
Nice.
So they're trying.
There you go. Now there's a change or a feature that's possibly coming to the iPhone 15 Pro. The headline reads, "It won't get solid state buttons." What the hell is a solid state button?
Apple wanted to have buttons that don't break the seal of the phone. And so they wanted buttons that just use haptic feedback, that you would just touch it and it would feel your little finger there, and it'd turn the volume up or down, or which, whatever you wanted to do. And apparently they've hit a pretty big snag. Not going to happen. So, but the buttons are probably going to change anyway. Instead of 2 buttons for up and down volume, it's probably going to be a rocker switch, because they've already let out the information for the size of the phones and all of that jazz. And the people that make, all of the cases and everything, they're already tooling up to build phone cases.
Right.
So it's probably going to have a rocker switch instead of 2 separate buttons, but there's still going to be a physical button without the haptic feedback, cool stuff. And I'm so upset. I cried for 15 minutes before we came on the air. I'm so brokenhearted.
Let me ask you. I'm assuming we don't have a price point for this phone.
No, but I think you can almost guarantee it's going to go up $100.
So obviously more than $1,000, because that's what the last one.
I think the bottom one, the bottom line Pro will go up from $999 to $1099, and I think the Pro Ultra, or whatever they're going to call it, they're debatable about the name, will go up $100 too, to like $11.99 or something.
See,
So yeah,
I mean,
think that's gonna happen.
my daughter's phone cracked the screen, of course, because kids.
Oh boy.
And so I'm like, okay, well, she's had the phone. It's an XR, so it's pretty old. I mean, it does what it needs to do, but whatever. But and so I go into one of those You Fix It places to fix the screen. I'm like, how much?
Yeah.
They're like $150, and I was like, shoot, I don't know. If I'm going to put $150, maybe I should just buy a phone. And then I looked at the price of phones and I was like, yeah, no, we'll just fix the screen. It's fine. It's too expensive. I can't understand this.
And there's a bill in our legislature in California right now to a right to repair bill that would make phone makers, even Apple, make it a little easier for you or for repair places to repair stuff like screens.
Yeah. Because I mean, it's the
they've
most
gone out of their
obviously
way
common.
And with laptops, like I am on, and perhaps you guys are using a laptop and not Apple is terrible about that. You used to be able to take out some screws if you had the magic Apple screwdriver, which I did, and replace the battery. Well, they made that impossible to do. I even did it in an old one that I have. I put in a battery anyway, and the computer recognized it. Oh yeah, you have a battery from so and so. But then the chip in the operating system wouldn't talk to the battery, it wouldn't charge it.
It's a scam,
like,
Clark Reed.
Come on,
you
guys are just evil. So the legislature has a bill in progress that hopefully will clear this up, because it's just, it's really Jippo. It's like, come on, folks. Not everybody wants to trade every year or 2 years. I mean, we can afford to. I mean,
I am not getting rid of this phone that is right by me until it's dead.
So I've had a problem with my Apple laptop, my MacBook Air, which I use for the show here.
Sure.
And my eye doesn't work on my keyboard. So I have to invent. If you get a message from me, you'll notice most of the words that I've tried to think of don't have eyes in them. Right.
Well,
I'm dealing with that, but I've noticed they've made this machine so that you actually can't get into it.
No. I have one. The one I'm using right now is the new MacBook Pro with the M1 chip in it. It's a year and a half old or something. But right next to it, with my script and all of that stuff on it, is my old 2018 MacBook Pro, which has the infamous butterfly keyboard. And it's the same way, Kim. If I hit the S button, it'll either type 40 S's or none at all.
This is what's happening to me. It's feast or famine with the eye.
And it has several other letters that way. And they got rid of that stupid butterfly keyboard, which Johnny Ive, the former design guy, loved because it was so thin. But it doesn't work.
No.
It's junk.
But my daughter says, well, Mom, how old's your computer?
Yeah.
And I said, well, 5 years.
Yeah.
Well, obviously it's time for a new computer.
It's expensive.
No, wait a minute.
Buying it.
This is not very old. 5 years to me, this device should work as long as I need it to work. It's not obsolete.
But
It's still
you used
updates
to
and
even be able to
you
do
know.
this with Apple. I had an Apple Tower and a laptop, and now I have a son that's in IT that helped me with this because I didn't know what he says. Okay, buy these memory chips and buy this about, and I ordered the right stuff from Amazon and just pop that stuff in. I doubled the memory. I put in a new battery, and it all worked great. Put in new hard drives, solid state, and I kept that old tower for like 10 years. Because I could upgrade it, but now no, they don't want you to upgrade
it's built
anything.
in to become obsolete. That's the whole plan. I do hope that the user experience with the next iPhone is better. The one thing that I hate about my iPhone is that the lock button and the volume button, and you squeeze them together to take a picture.
Yes.
It's where I grab my phone, so I end up taking pictures of my home.
Yeah, of yourself all the time. Yeah,
it
sure.
freaking drives me nuts, and I'm like, who? They knew that was a problem. It's freaking annoying. But
of course they did that. Just that, and what you're talking about is they got from the auto business. It's called planned obsolescence. They build it into the damn things. They really do.
Yeah,
it's
sucks.
no deposit, no return. It's really irritating.
One last thing, Clark.
Yes,
I want to ask you about Substack launching Notes.
Yeah, this was
Jefferson Graham, who's on with us tomorrow. He does pictures. He's moved to the Substack Notes. What is this?
Notes is just it's a sub genre of Substack right now. Substack is like a newsletter kind of length thing,
right?
And the Notes feature it has its own tab, and it's going to be a little more Twitter-like. A lot Twitter-like, quite frankly. It doesn't have a limit on letters, but it's shorter and a little quicker, and you can respond to people and comment and all that kind of thing. And you can what do they call it? Not repost. They have their own name for that.
Well, not like a retweet or something.
Yeah, it's like a retweet, and
right.
so you can do all of those things. That is why Musk was branding all of the links to Substack as dangerous and everything. Until there's a huge uproar over the weekend and he backed off on that, and they're not doing that anymore. But a lot of the people that had a ton of followers on Twitter too, raised hell and we're going to bail out. By the way, a big one bailed out because of what Musk has done, and that is NPR. National Public Radio.
Yes,
they are
NPR.
completely gone now.
I know they posted on Twitter that they're leaving. They put all their other links. I rarely go on Twitter just because my feed is so different and I don't see the things that I want to that brought me there. But we'll see what happens with the social media site. Musk is making a lot of changes. So
he's I don't know if he's going to be able to save the dang thing, but we'll see. Maybe it will become the X app and it will do all these magical things that he says it will.
He'd have to bring other people in, but we'll see. All right, Clark Reed, thank you so much. We will talk tech with you next Wednesday. Have a fabulous afternoon. All right. Bye, Clark.
Bye-bye.
Right. Bye. Good to see you.
And of course, you could find Clark Reed. He's online. He puts out I don't know if he does it on Substack. I should have asked him. But yeah, he puts out a whole tech news thing, and he's our tech guy, and we love having him on. Do I have time? Yeah, let's do this. Let me do this just because we were talking with Clark Reed about Twitter. And I want to squeeze this in before we switch gears with Kim's news. So I'd mentioned when Elon Musk was saying that Twitter is painful to own and, they're growing pains and they made a lot of mistakes.
Yep.
He did this interview with the BBC, and he doesn't often give interviews to the BBC. And a lot of people are criticizing not Elon Musk, but the reporter with the BBC for this interview. Now, I'm going to play you a little bit. Now, this was actually on Spaces, but they had a camera also set up for the BBC. And I'm going to play it for you. I'll play a bit of it for you. And I want you to tell me if Elon Musk has a good point and what you think about the reporters questioning and answering. So here he is. Here's a bit of that exchange.
Content you don't like or hateful? What do you mean to describe a hateful thing?
Yeah, I mean,
Let me pause here for 1 second. So basically, this reporter on the right is telling Elon Musk that he has seen or other people have seen a rise in hate speech and hateful comment on Twitter.
Content that will solicit a reaction, something that may include something that is slightly racist or slightly sexist, those kinds of things.
So you think if something is slightly sexist, it should be banned?
No,
is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying anything. I'm
just curious. I'm trying to understand what you mean by hateful content. And I'm asking for specific examples. And you just said that if something is slightly sexist, that's hateful content. Does that mean that it should be banned?
Well, you've asked me whether my feed, whether it's got less or more. I'd say it's got slightly more.
That's why I'm asking for examples. Can you name one example?
I honestly don't need.
You can't name a single example.
I'll tell you why, because I don't actually use that feed anymore because I just don't particularly like it.
But you
said actually, a lot of people are quite similar. I only look at
hang on a second.
You
said you've seen more hateful content, but you can't name a single example, not even one.
I'm not sure I've used that feed for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And
then how did you see the hateful content?
Because I've been using Twitter since you've taken it over for the last 6 months.
Okay, so then you must have at some point seen for you hateful content. I'm asking for one example.
Right.
And you can't give a single one.
And I'm saying
I say, sir, that you don't know what you're talking about.
Really?
Yes, because you can't give me a single example of hateful content, not even one tweet. And yet you claimed that the hateful content was high.
Well,
that's false.
No, what I claimed,
you just lied.
What I claimed was there are many organizations that say that kind of information is on the rise. Now, whether it has on my feed or not, I mean, right? And
literally
if you look at something
one.
Like the Strategic Dialogue Institute in the UK, they will say that. So
look, people will say all sorts of nonsense. I'm literally asking for a single example, and you can't name one.
Right, and as I already said, I don't use that feed. But
then how would you know that?
I don't think this is getting anywhere.
You literally said you experienced more hateful content, and then couldn't name a single example.
Right, and as I said,
that's absurd.
I haven't actually looked at that feed.
So the guy, the reporter, failed. You need to have receipts, man, and it is not hard to find receipts. And he didn't.
If you're going to ask the question, then be prepared.
Right.
He came across as ill prepared.
Exactly.
You don't ask the question if you have to expect that when you ask a question like that Musk is going to get defensive.
Well,
and he's going to want you to back it up.
Give him an example. So, of course, after the BBC interview, many people went on Twitter. This person, Ryan Mack, said, not defending the BBC interview from last night, but must ask the reporter for an example of hateful content. Here's Twitter verifying an openly hateful account through its paid verification program earlier that day. And the name of it is N-word stank. Okay, that's the handle. You can see it right there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will also update and say that it has since been taken down. So here's my question. Obviously, there are going to be loopholes and ways for content like this to get through. But if they take it down after the fact or very quickly, is that enough? And I just, on one hand, I understand the point that the BBC reporter was trying to make. That person failed.
Yeah.
Very bigly, as a former president would say, on the international stage. Yeah. Elon Musk does not often give interviews like this. And so for him to not be prepared was a full-on fail, because it just fed all Elon Musk supporters and Twitter supporters and all that sort of thing. And I just can't believe that the BBC wasn't better prepared.
There have been actually the BBC of all things. And there have been studies showing that hate speech has increased in the last couple of years, probably since Musk has purchased Twitter. And so have a study in your pocket.
Right.
Say
have something.
Right. According to, this institution, here's what they found. I mean, at least have that. If you don't have specific examples of the hate, have something.
Yeah.
Have something, because he's going to be defensive. You have to.
Yeah, I can't believe, and again, if you go on Twitter, even if you go on Twitter and say BBC Musk, there are tons of people with receipts, right? Another example was the censoring of a BBC documentary about Modi. Apparently, somebody had tweeted, "What's going on, Elon Musk? Twitter seems to have gone from freedom of speech, not freedom of reach, to outright censorship." And then there was an article talking about censorship. It was with an Indian journalist, and it had been taken down off of Twitter. And Elon Musk responded, "First, I've heard it's not possible for me to fix every aspect of Twitter worldwide overnight while running Tesla and SpaceX, among other things." But yeah, so apparently there was a documentary about India's right-wing party that apparently was taken down, and Elon Musk has said to have caved to them. But again, I bring this up because, one, you have to admit that obviously these things aren't going to happen overnight. On the other hand, just the humiliation of that BBC reporter. So when you get the opportunity to call someone out on what is so very obviously happening, to not have any receipts is just totally embarrassing. All right, so Kim's going to do some news in just a moment. We had mentioned already about NPR pulling from Twitter, so we're going to move on. We'll talk a little bit more about whether or not you guys are jumping on the electric vehicle market, the bandwagon of sorts. I saw a couple of your guys' comments in there, and a lot of you are kind of promoting, look, just buy a hybrid. When things go bad with electricity, then you could still buy gas and vice versa. So is that really the answer? The EPA, though, is saying that EV sales could make up 2/3 of new car sales by 2032. At the same time, there's a new study that finds that this could be the quote unquote beginning of the end for fossil fuels. How do you feel about that? Because we have a long way to go before 2032 arrives. And then we'll end the show talking about allergies. And does it make good business for businesses to cater to those with, let's say, specifically food allergies? Because one business apparently did the right thing, and then in the blink of an eye, did the absolute opposite. Click that thumbs up button, please, to support the show. And we'll talk about all of that after Kim's news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report could be sponsored by you. That's right, because we're looking for sponsors on the Nikki Medoro Show. Email us at thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. All right, let's get to it, because we've got this story about this horrible drug, xylazine. A big warning about this today. That is because an animal tranquilizer, is what this is, could worsen the nation's ongoing drug crisis. The Biden administration today declaring illicit fentanyl mixed with an animal tranquilizer known as xylazine is an emerging threat and linked to a rising number of fatal overdose deaths in the U.S. The designation now requires the federal government to coordinate a national response to xylazine. Russia's detention of a Wall Street Journal reporter is a warning to the world. Beware of setting foot in that country. That is what Secretary of State Antony Blinken told reporters when discussing the arrest of American journalist Evan Gershkovich. The State Department this week designated Gershkovich as being wrongfully detained after he was recently arrested in Russia on spying charges. And many people across Northern California keeping their guard up for another earthquake. I mean, aren't we always? But several hit late last night, the biggest measuring about a 4.4 near Cobb. That's in Lake County. Nearly 700 people reported feeling this one on the U.S. Geological Survey site. Others sounding off on social media, including State Senator Mike McGuire, who said he felt this one too. The state's early warning system sent out an alert to those from Solano County to Mendocino County that a 5.0 quake was about to strike. So not quite, wasn't a 5.0, was a 4.4, but I guess that kind of freaked a lot of people out. Here's a story we continue to follow. Mentioned it yesterday, and we'll kind of hit it again here because this little girl is missing. There's a search underway across California for this 5-year-old girl. Her name is Faith Harris. She was kidnapped in North Carolina last week by her grandmother's ex-husband, and they think she was brought to California. The 84-year-old man, believed to be driving a 1990 Chevrolet truck, the CHP has issued an endangered missing advisory targeted to Butte, San Bernardino, Riverside, and Los Angeles counties. Officers are asking everyone to keep an eye out for these two. This little girl's name is Faith. Let's talk about guns in schools for just a moment. Some encouraging news, you could say. Doesn't feel like it because of the stories we keep hearing. But despite this recent violence in California schools, there's a new study that shows classrooms are actually safer. researchers at UCLA finding a 70% drop in students carrying guns on campus over the last 20 years. They say fights and threats are down too. The team spent 3 years analyzing data from surveys given to nearly all middle and high schools. Still, our state, California, leads the nation in school shootings with at least one injury or death since 2012. So schools are getting less violent, but we still got a big, big problem. More news on the Diablo power plant, nuclear power plant. A new effort is underway to close California's last nuclear power plant. An environmental group is now suing PG&E, claiming it agreed years ago to shut the site once its operating license ran out by 2025. Last month, though, PG&E was told it could keep going past the deadline while officials review its renewal application. Governor Gavin Newsom visited at that time, months after signing legislation to keep that plant online for another 5 years. Environmentalists want this thing closed down. They say it's done, it's over. California state officials say, we're not done with this power. We still have a need. We got to keep it open for a while longer. Let's go to social media, because it appears that there's a California bill aimed at social media giants that's now moving forward. It would make companies liable for how their platforms affect kids. The measure bans sites from using algorithms that could cause children to become addicted or influence them to do harm. It also stops marketing fentanyl and ghost guns, with each violation costing up to $250,000. The bill passed one committee yesterday, and it now heads off to another. And I have this picture. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you saw this. I talked about it a little bit earlier, but I wanted to make sure that you guys saw this picture of former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, who took to the streets yesterday and decided that it was a good time to fill up some potholes. Yes, this is Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger fixing a pothole. The video of him doing this has reached over 1 million views. A woman stops by, seeing him with a shovel in his nice leather jacket and his boots out there, saying, "Thank you so much for doing this. This pothole has been hurting my car for 3
I know. Hold on. I have the video. Hold on. Let me show it to you. Let's show this. Hold on. Here's the video. Thanks to ABC7 that does this. Here we go.
Bureau of Street Services has met its latest hire. Actor, former governor, and local resident Arnold Schwarzenegger had shovel in hand outside of his Brentwood home. No word on whether leather jackets are an appropriate substitute for high visibility vests, but it got the job done. He's been waiting 3 weeks, he said, and no one has fixed it. So
you're welcome. You're welcome. You have to do it yourself.
He filled the pothole. The only problem is it wasn't a pothole. LA County's Department of Public Works said it's actually a service trench set to be repaired by SoCal Gas. But isn't this the shared experience? Uneven pavement ruining drivers' tires and their days this time of year. In Compton, the problem has built year after year. The calls to repatch the holes have shifted to repave the roads. In LA,
there's a bunch in like Hollywood.
The city says it has received almost 20,000 service requests since December and repaired about 85% of them. Thousands are still left for drivers and cyclists to avoid if they can.
I go through them all the time, and like it's crazy. Like the car shakes and everything.
And if not, they're left with other questions.
But my main concern is LA going to cover it if I send them a bill?
No. I'll answer that for you, buddy. Nah.
No.
You could try. You could try. I mean, just like if your car gets hit by a rock on the freeway or something, you could try. Don't hold your breath. But yeah, I love Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Let's listen to the sound of Governor.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
You have to do it yourself. I mean, this is crazy. For 3 weeks I've been waiting for this order.
3 weeks I've been waiting.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
3 weeks. I think I said 3 years, but yeah. You're welcome. You're welcome. I do this for you, people. Yes, I do it for you.
I love it. I love it.
So he's getting you know what? You have to love, though, just that, you know, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it mentality.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I wish that, You know what's interesting though is he did it. It wasn't supposed to be filled. Is he going to get in trouble? Because I don't know. I have a sneaking suspicion that if you or I went out there and filled in a pothole that wasn't a pothole and could have caused problems, I'd be getting a bill from the city saying you damaged the road.
Okay, well then the city needs to get a bill from everyone in the last 3 weeks who drove over that thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And it damaged their car.
Yeah,
3 weeks is too long. And if it isn't a pothole and it's there for a reason, then put a board over it or something.
I will give a shout out to my city, even though San Jose has tons of problems. That app, the San Jose app, I've promoted this before. I use it all the time when I encounter a pothole, and I will tell you, within days, it'll get fixed, if not the next day. So. But you have to use the app. You have to use the app. And I don't know. I actually haven't used it since the big storm. So they might be like LA where they're overloaded with requests, but give it a shot. So there you go.
So we have such bad potholes in Petaluma where they do that study of all the Bay Area cities, which one has the worst potholes, road conditions. Where Petaluma is notorious for showing up as number one on the list. To the point where a local creamery, I think it might have been Clover, they made ice cream and they call it the Petaluma pothole.
Oh, how funny.
Yeah.
That's like a bad thing to be famous for, but yeah.
Yeah, it is a bad thing to be the Petaluma pothole. We need Arnold, come over here, fill up our potholes.
There you go.
So this show is crowdfunded and we need all the help we can get.
We do.
Thank you for being here, for sharing the show, for trying to help us grow it. We're so grateful. If you would like to support us financially, you can do that as well. The website is thenikkimedoroshow.com. There you will find many things, including our Patreon and PayPal link. So thank you for checking that out. And thank you for being here with us. I'm Kim McAllister on the Nikki Medoro Show.
Thank you, Kim. Okay. I just want, since we're talking about cities and doing things and I had teased it, I do want to get into that testy exchange that London Breed had on KTVU today. And it's a basic question of just kind of just what Kim was talking about. Bad PR, right? And you can't really control everything. You can't control what people choose to focus on and then share on their social media feeds. So let me play you this exchange. And again, London Breed is oh so nice to be able to go on with KTVU all the freaking time. But here is her exchange with Garcia Miguelian. And people are calling it testy because it was. I listened to it live this morning and I was like, oh, she's not liking this line of questioning. But she was asked about the reputation of the city.
With us, what's your take on what's happening in your city?
It starts out okay.
Well, I think that oftentimes because of social media, because of cameras and how people are able to publicize things that are happening in a moment, it is taken completely out of context in terms of highlighting the entire city as being unsafe. That's not entirely true. And when you look at statistics, you see that, for example, with homicide rates in San Francisco, the police department here has an 85% clearance rate, whereas in other places around the country, the national average is 60%. I understand that if it happens to you or your loved one, it does not matter. And our goal with making sure we have police officers, ambassadors, security cameras, and a number of other things, especially in places where we have high foot traffic, that we're doing everything we can to ensure safety of the public.
What we know about the Bob Lee case
here we go.
For many people is horrific. He was stabbed to death. He pleaded for help, made a 911 call. That is yet to be released. You said yesterday, the facts of many of these cases as they come out, people are going to be surprised. What do you mean by that, being surprised?
Well, just to be clear, I don't want to do anything to compromise this investigation. And also, even some of the things that you just said aren't entirely accurate. I think that's the problem with speculation. When you talk about someone
what
who's
in
been
particular
murdered,
isn't accurate? What would you like? What would you like to clarify?
Garcia, I want to be clear that I am not going to talk specifically about this case and the specifics of the case until we are able to release the facts to the public. But my point is that there's a lot of speculation, and in that speculation, there's inaccurate information that's being published out there. So until our police department and our district attorney can provide the public with the facts, it is best that we are very careful about that, because if it were your loved one, you'd want justice brought against the perpetrator or the perpetrators of that crime.
All right. So, I mean, and that basically what it was. Garcia kind of being like, well, what did I say that was inaccurate? And she again repeated, I'm not going to get into the facts of the case, which She should say. I mean, she doesn't want to jeopardize the investigation, what have you. But what do you guys think about what she started off by saying is, we can't control the fact that social media chooses to focus on all the negative things and not any of the positive things. And I saw, yes, Ricky is like, that 85%, where are you getting that? Now, again, I don't know what she's quoting. I would assume, and I didn't bring it up, so I apologize. I'd assume San Francisco police data. That's what I would assume she's getting her numbers from. But it's easy to pick on big fish, right? It's easy, especially in this political climate, to do that. On the other hand, it's also easy to drive to San Francisco and see it your damn self. And that's what's happening. People are going there and getting their cars broken into left and right.
Yeah.
And it's not just San Francisco, it's Oakland, it's other cities. But is there some truth, do you think, in what she's saying of, look, people are going to pick on us and we can't help it?
You know what stood out to me is when she said, and this is kind of a nuance of words, what do you think about your city? She was asked. And she said, when talking about the safety, yes, people, hone in on certain incidents and then it makes this whole city look unsafe. And then she said, that's not entirely true.
Right.
If you don't think it's true, you say, and that's not true. Our city is safe. And when you say, that's not entirely true.
She can't say that.
What it means is that's not entirely true. It means there's a lot of truth to that. But there's pockets of the city that are, not always, but most of the time when you say that's not entirely true. So she kind of almost agreed without agreeing in to my ears. And when she said that's not entirely true, she knows the city's not safe. She knows that even the mayor parking her car outside has a pretty good chance that car is going to be broken into at some time or another. There's a chance if you park in the city that you're going to walk out and your glass is going to be shattered.
Yeah.
It's just the way it goes in San Francisco. And it's sad, but it's true.
Yeah, Wes says there are a lot of negatives to San Francisco in the last few years. Crime is up, homelessness up, filthy streets. Maybe it's not her fault, but it happened under her watch. Exactly. And I would say this, and I don't mean to come to her defense because I don't need to defend her. She's the mayor of San Francisco. But of course she can't say that's not entirely true, because the minute she says, if she said that's not true, someone's going to be like, well, this crime happened and that crime happened. So of course it's not entirely true. No city is crime free, right? No city doesn't have homeless. They just don't. I mean, they might, hide them away or do something like that, but it is happening.
She became mayor during COVID when the homeless population expanded, exploded, some could say. And so did she face challenges that other mayors haven't? Absolutely.
Right.
I mean, and is all of San Francisco bad? It is not. It is all of San Francisco is not bad. There are wonderful things about San Francisco. And we just have to clean it up.
It's hard because San Francisco, is a dense city. It's not a huge, as far as land, city, right? You would think that, and this is the problem I think that you can kind of put on all of California,
right?
Is that it's so big and it gets so much attention that with the good comes the bad, right? And so with San Francisco, we have all this money, supposedly, right? In San Francisco, tech money, all this sort of money. And now because of COVID, largely, and also lack of planning and things that happening, the bottom has fallen out. People aren't going to work. People are losing their jobs. We have inflation. We have all of these things that can be tied to COVID. So really outside of a mayor's control. But at the same time, we've created this system where a tragedy like a pandemic happens. And now we're facing the repercussions of the decisions that we made with not investing in things like affordable housing, a diverse workforce. We put a lot of eggs in the tech basket. And so I don't know what we can do overnight to fix it. And yet people don't want to have the patience. And I understand why. To wait and see how they can fix it. Does that make sense? And the same with California. We're a huge state. We're going to have huge problems and it's not going to be cheap to fix. So there's some intellectual understanding, but when you're in it and you live there, the emotions can kind of take over.
I wonder if this is what we want. Wes writes, Orlando and Kissimmee. They have a huge homeless problem there in Florida.
Okay.
But the police and the sheriffs chase these homeless people away or arrest them for disorderly conduct. So is that what we want?
Chase them where?
Right. Where are they going to go?
Where do they go? I mean, they have to go somewhere. Even if you chase them, they go somewhere. So are they allowed to live, but they can't be seen? And how are their jails filled with homeless people? How long do you keep them there?
And would you say it doesn't matter where they go? Just get them out of my area? I mean, is that what we want? Do we want to make the homeless people into the boogeyman? Like they're the bad things. They're what's causing all the trouble. And why don't we fix the homeless problem then rather than just chase them from one place to another? I just feel like, they're out there and they're going to
build the housing for them.
Right. So either we deal with it in a way where we can actually fix it and solve the issue, or we just say, get out of here. You're not welcome. We want our streets clean, and off they go to the next city or the next state or whatever it is until you attack the root of that problem. I don't think it's going to fix anything.
Right. John writes in, last time I was in San Francisco, we were walking near the Warfield in the middle of the day. A stranger stopped us, asked us if we were lost, tried to direct us out of the area. That never happened to me elsewhere. I don't, and John, if you want to add to this and answer my question, were you grateful that they were directing you out? Do you feel like they were directing you out because they didn't want you there? What was kind of the meaning or the purpose of kind of helping you, or did you find it helpful? Like, did you like this or did you not like this?
Is the Warfield and the Tenderloin? It is, right?
I don't know my neighborhoods in the San Francisco that well.
Maybe it was I think the Warfield's not in the best area. Maybe it was someone who's like, these people are going to get mugged or robbed.
Right.
I'm going to help get them out of here.
Out.
Yeah.
Right. Like, do you know where you are? It's like when you're in the mosh pit and somebody like, I'm like, would you like to leave this? But yeah, I don't know. Again, John, if you want to write back into the comments, Joe says the Warfield's on the edge, I guess, of the Tenderloin.
I was in the Bayview once, and I was reporting on a shooting there that happened. This is, I don't know, 10 years ago, maybe. And this really nice older Black lady came out of her house.
Okay.
And she goes, honey, you have to get out of here.
Oh, shoot.
And I was like, why? I'm from KGO. I'm reporting on the story. She said, it doesn't matter.
Oh, no.
You are white and you are a target right here and you have to go. And she was so nice about it, telling me that, I was standing out in that neighborhood and that I needed to get myself to safety. She was legitimately concerned for me. And that was so nice of her. I mean, I had to be there for work. I had to do what I had to do.
What did you do? Oh, so you say it, obviously.
I got the sound I needed. I did the story, and then I drove a few blocks away to where I took her warning to heart, and then I, did my live shot and left in a hurry.
Oh, that's funny.
I think there are people that really do know the dangers, and they're able to navigate them. And when they see someone they think might not be, it's nice that they step in to help.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot I did catch this announcement on Mark Thompson's show. John Rothman making the announcement that he's considering running for mayor of San Francisco. Now, he's a longtime San Franciscan, right?
Yeah.
Many generations, I believe, he mentioned. There's no way in hell I would ever want to be mayor of San Francisco. More power on you, John. It is huge. And it's a thankless job. It is a thankless job.
And every solution that you might propose, because it has to start with getting homeless people off the streets in a humane way, right?
Yeah.
Taking in the sensibilities of San Francisco. We want to be kind to people. We want to do things right. But anything you would propose would probably be challenged in court. So you're hamstrung, and then people blame you for not getting anything done. That's a rough job.
But don't you feel like I would love to see John Rothman, like, because that he would be able to have the conversations with all the critics, right?
Yeah.
And that's what he does. So I'm for it. John, please run. I would love to watch this. I would never want to be in politics simply because of what you just mentioned. It's a thankless job. You can't please everybody. Everybody, and especially like we were talking about before with social media, the worst thing that happens or the worst thing that's happening to your city is the thing that's going to define it and define you. And that sucks,
But the beautiful part about running for office is you have the ability not to just talk about problems, but to solve problems.
Yeah. But don't you think that's watching the sausage be made and you realize, oh my God, this system is so messed up. Not even God himself could fix it. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. But yeah,
with John Rothman, you have
John to do it.
there's no one that has love for San Francisco like he does.
Oh,
He grew
I
up there.
know. Yeah,
His
exactly.
family's been there for generations.
Right.
He's, the question is would he be a mayor for the homeless people too?
Well, I
would he
hope
be
so.
a mayor that really looks at the plight of everyone's problems? He's a pretty sensitive guy. I think so. Well,
Yeah.
if and when he decides to, we'll have to have him on the show and grill him.
Oh, of course. Well,
Yeah.
the truth of the matter is, when you ask, is John going to be the mayor of the homeless? What he's going to find, and what all mayors find, of course, is that people are on the verge of homelessness all the time.
Right.
In a place like the Bay Area, and specifically San Francisco. So of course you're the mayor of not just the homeless, but the soon to be, or the at risk of being homeless.
Mhm.
And so you have to address the needs of those people that are right on the edge, and also balance those that are not even close to the edge, that want those people out of their city. So how do you, again, no way in hell. Like, no, because I'm a freaking bleeding heart. And so I just would want to please everybody. And
Yeah.
that is a job in which you will please nobody.
No one.
So,
I love myself some John Rothman, but I'll tell you,
I do.
if he's got to be prepared, because I'm not going to throw him the easy questions.
There you go. You'll be
Yeah.
like, it'll be like that BBC Elon Musk thing, but reverse, the right way, the absolute right way. Okay, let's do a couple of headlines. I want to end it. Oh, I have a tease for you. I have an update on my Entenmann's cheese-filled coffee crumb cake story. I have an update. Now, it's not entirely satisfying. It's not as entirely satisfying as the coffee cake itself, but I'll have that for you after Kim's news. And we'll keep it kind of in the food vein. There is a mom that has filed a complaint against United Airlines because they did the right thing and then they did the wrong thing. Or did they? I will lay out the case for you. You tell me, what do you think United Airlines should have done, or did the first thing they did, was that the wrong thing? Because it set an expectation that they could not meet. All right, so I'll lay that out for you. Yes, somebody was mentioning in the chat, please click the thumbs up button. It helps our show get exposed to people that aren't watching it live. If you are watching it, please give us a super chat donation if you want to, or become a Medorable. And you're a Medorable if you become a monthly Patreon subscriber. To do all of that, to find past shows to share with your family and friends, to find links to our merchandise, to everything, just simply go to theNikkiMedoroShow.com, theNikkiMedoroShow.com. It's all right there. You can email me at the same place where you can make PayPal donations, theNikkiMedoroShow@gmail.com. We absolutely appreciate each and every one of you. All right, we'll talk about food. I'll have an update on my coffee cake search. It's all coming up after the news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And let's get right to it, because a group of 69 Republican members of Congress are now signing on to this brief. What they want is an appeals court to uphold the decision of a federal judge in Texas that would stop the prescription of this widely used abortion pill. So 69 Republican members of Congress are urging the appeals court to say no mifepristone for the United States. Pretty dramatic calls from Monday's mass shooting in Kentucky show the panic during this event. One female caller said about 8 or 9 people were shot and that she was hiding in a closet in a first-floor conference room. This comes out as a prayer vigil is being held in Louisville tonight. 5 people died in that bank massacre. Tennessee Democrat Justin Pearson headed back to the State House just days after he and a colleague were ousted for holding a protest. Now they are back in. The Shelby County Commission voted Wednesday to reappoint Pearson back to the seat he was removed from last week. Pearson and fellow Democratic Representative Justin Jones were expelled from the House by a GOP majority for leading a protest against gun violence on the floor of the chamber. I mean, if you can't lead a protest when you're a lawmaker, then I don't know. I just don't know. Apparently, it's against the law to do that. The white woman who was a representative who was with them did not get kicked out, but they did. So again, that all now being made right. This story, former President Trump is now suing Michael Cohen for $500 million. He alleges his former attorney, Cohen, breached their attorney-client relationship, among other claims. The lawsuit claims Cohen spread lies about Trump that were embarrassing or detrimental and with malicious intent to wholly self-serving ends. Now you wonder, is a former president suing his former attorney, Michael Cohen, partially as a defense for the 34 felonies that he is facing in connection with the whole case that involved Cohen? I don't know.
I feel like he's trying to distract. You know what I'm saying? Like he's trying to create an excuse for why people are doing what they're doing. Oh, he's saying that because I'm suing him, or, it's just, I hope that people have become smart to this guy's tricks, because it's getting old. It really, really is.
Isn't that the way he does, though? I mean, isn't that the Trump MO?
Yeah.
Whenever there's a serious story, come up with something else to get people talking about that thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. $500 million, though. That's a big lawsuit. President Biden is visiting Northern Ireland and Ireland for the first time since becoming president. He took the tour through County Louth today, where his maternal ancestors are from. In brief remarks from a pub and a restaurant, President Biden said the trip feels like coming home. Family and friends are remembering Daunte Wright 2 years after he was killed in a traffic stop. This happened in Minnesota. Communities Against Police Brutality honoring the anniversary yesterday with a balloon release and a rally in front of the Brooklyn Center Police Department. Wright was 20 years old when he was shot and killed by a former Brooklyn Center officer during a traffic stop in 2021. And a Harry Potter TV series is officially now coming to HBO Max. This comes as Warner Brothers Discovery unveiled their new streaming service, just called Max, yesterday. They're dropping the HBO Max. New series based on this beloved book series leaked earlier this month, but now the details of it have been confirmed. And lastly, see ya later, alligator. Residents in Fair Oaks are able to say that after a recent encounter. A man was fishing at Sailor Bar, which is right along the American River. This was last week, when he saw something, he says, that didn't quite belong. So he called a friend to help him out. It was a 7-foot-long alligator hanging out on some rocks. The friend jumped on top of this hissing alligator, taped its mouth shut, put it in his trailer. The Wild Care Association says most likely explanation is someone was keeping this gator as a pet and then got rid of it when it got too big. The agency also adds that California has very strict laws about owning wildlife like alligators. There he is.
What the hell? Like, who has an alligator as a pet? This ain't Florida. Come on.
Well, who dumps a gator along the American River? I mean, really?
Somebody that wants to scare the crap out of people, apparently.
Well, it could, you're not expecting that.
No.
That could bite somebody. Can we play that video?
Oh, let's see. Let's see if I can play it. Here we go.
You're going to get a strike against us for that?
To the new teachers who are just getting started.
Sit through the ad to get to the spot. I think it's worth it.
We're learning more tonight about the capture of a loose alligator in Sacramento County.
Yeah, Sacramento County. This is a story that has people talking, huh? Yes. As for how it got there and who discovered it, ABC 10's Roxanne Elias explains that is also unusual.
In a very unlikely place to see alligators, a man claims he found this 7-foot reptile in the American River at Sailor Bar in Fair Oaks.
An alligator? Is that like real?
Hopefully there's just that one.
The Wildlife Care Association says they first learned about the gator last week from a man who told them he was trying to help out his neighbor.
And he said, I'm trying to help my neighbor out. He was fishing at Sailor Bar and he noticed that there was an alligator sitting on the rocks. He said, so I went over there with my trailer. I saw the alligator. It was hissing. And I jumped on the alligator and taped its mouth shut and put it in my trailer.
Sandra Foreman with the Wildlife Care Association doesn't believe the gator has been living in the American River for long. She says the cold water would have made it difficult to survive. Yeah. She believes someone kept the reptile as a pet and dumped it when it got too big to handle. Aww. But that's for the Department of Fish and Wildlife to decide. The agency has the animal in their care and will now figure out where it came from.
So there you go.
This is not Florida, people. This is not Florida.
Sad. Somebody has.
I feel bad for the alligator. And like they said, it's too cold for him in that river, or him or her, right? And the pictures of them, I understand why they tape the mouth shut. Ingenious plan, but he doesn't look well, that alligator. He looks kind of, why do people do that? It's so awful. Not that I'm the biggest alligator fan in the world, but leave them where they're supposed to be. They're not supposed to be here. I love that guy who's like, let's hope that's the only one.
Exactly. John writes in, I remember when I was a kid, Woolworths sold little alligators in their pet store section.
No.
What? Those were the days. Those were the days. Yeah. Don't do that.
They also sold the turtles that were painted.
I know.
And you don't paint turtles. That's toxic for them.
No.
Listen, I know you love Nugget, and I do love Charlotte. I have some love for Charlotte.
Some.
But I'm not the biggest animal lover in the world.
Yeah, I'm an apathetic animal.
Like animals. I like animals in the wild. Yeah. I like them where they belong. I love wild animals, whales and dolphins and hell, even alligators, where they're supposed to be, right? Not necessarily at my house, but out in the world doing the things that animals do. Leave them alone.
Leave them alone. Exactly.
Don't paint them. Don't dump them in the American River.
Alone.
Don't put them in tanks at SeaWorld. Here's the thing. I'll end the newscast, but I have a thing to share with you.
Okay.
So we've had a thing about SeaWorld and Six Flags Discovery Kingdom.
Yes.
We have never taken our kids there. I will not support a group or a company that makes the money off the back of putting wildlife in tanks.
Right.
I think it's incredibly cruel to keep dolphins, orca whales, whatever, in tanks. I've had an in-law say to me, well, how else will we learn about them? Well, get your ass on a boat and go study them in the ocean, is what I said. So the 8th grade graduation trip for school is a trip to
Discovery Kingdom
in Vallejo.
No.
Now I got to write a check because that's where the graduation trip. Well, and she knows that we don't support that.
Right.
So, but it's a difficult case right now because the question is, do we vote with our wallet and for political reasons or moral reasons, moral objections say, nope, we're not going on the graduation trip because we don't believe in what this place does. Or, and I do know that there are some cases where they'll take in like a sea lion and give it a place to live, that, they're saving the animals, but they haven't saved a lot of animals. They've used animals for entertainment, which I disagree with. So do I say
not change their mind? Can you not change their mind about where they go?
No, it's done.
Oh.
They're going. So do I say you can't go on the trip, or do I just fork over the $35 and say, in this one moment, go and have fun?
Why don't you make an equal donation to an animal rescue organization at the same time?
That is the best idea.
I'm full of them.
Kim. I love you. I love you.
Yeah,
you just made me feel so much better about myself.
Just kind of like, okay, it'll cancel each other out, kind of. But yeah, do that.
I love it. I love it. So this show is crowdfunded. And of course, now I need your money to donate to the Wildlife Rescue Fund.
There you go.
We are so grateful for you guys, even being here in the chat and spending your time with us every day. I can't even tell you how much we appreciate it. If you would like to financially support the show as well, you can find the Patreon and PayPal links at the Nikki Medoro Show. gmail.com. We are accepting sponsorship opportunities as well. The Nikki Medoro Show at gmail.com, the place to message us to find out more about that as well. I'm Kim McAllister on the Nikki Medoro Show.
Thank you, Kim. Do you want to say hi to everybody? Here's my son.
Hi.
That's Dylan.
So sweet.
I'm almost there home for a spring break.
Yeah.
Time. Okay, so I have 2 food stories. At the end of the show, I will update you on the search for my much loved cheese-filled coffee cake.
Okay.
But first, I want to talk about this mom. Now, again, I don't have a child with a food allergy, knock on wood. Yeah. I know a lot of people that have kids with food allergies, and it has to be so freaking hard because they're everywhere, especially if you have one that's like a food that's everywhere. It's hard. So this New Jersey mom by the name of Leanne Mandelbaum is speaking out after United Airlines kind of did an about face. So she's flying with her son on a recent flight on March 13th from Texas, where they were going to go visit a college. They were actually traveling home from Texas. That's important. Okay, so she's in New Jersey.
Okay.
To Texas to check out a college. Now they're flying home. Okay. On their way, and it's kind of a tale of two stories here. Okay. On their way, she posts this tweet. Okay. There's a picture of a cute little kid. All right. And I'll read you the tweet. Great, kind, considerate crew on our United flight. Informed them regarding my son's peanut allergy. Told all around us to be careful and asked not to eat peanuts. The wind is changing in the air. Hashtag gratitude. So basically she went up to United. She said, my son has a peanut allergy. And they kind of made an announcement to the people around like, hey, can you not eat peanuts? Just be aware that somebody has.
Right.
Okay. Now, again, here's the tweet. Underneath it, there's United Airlines. They say, that's great to hear, Leanne. And we appreciate you taking the time to tell us about your crew today. We hope both of you have a great flight and hope to see you on board with us again real soon. And so they did, because they had to come back home. And so this is what happened on the flight home. Now they're in Texas, flying home to New Jersey.
Okay.
So much for a change of winds.
Uh-oh.
This United crew flat out refused to make an announcement about my son's peanut allergy, embarrassed me intentionally, called me to the front to let me know it's illegal for them to ask people to be careful or not to eat nuts. Talk about inconsistency. So then she goes on, and this is what she says. So she says that she went up, that she wasn't expecting any pushback because of what happened on the way there. This is what she said. She says, I went to pull up United's policy on my phone, and this staff member who summoned her to the front of the plane literally put her hand in my face and got close. And she goes, I don't care what you're going to say or what you're going to show me. I'm telling you, this is not going to happen on this plane. So what are you going to do about it now? Now, one, if anybody talked to me like that, I would be pissed off. Two, she's wrong. She's absolutely wrong. So the mom felt embarrassed. She asked her, and her son asked her to let the request go when she returned to the seat, because obviously, like, mom, please stop. But it stayed with her. And so she made that post on Twitter. Now, when contacted by Good Morning America, United said it's looking into the incident and then shared the allergy policy. Now, part of the allergy policy says this. The airline is committed to the safety of its customers, including customers with major food allergies. It does not serve peanuts on flights, but may serve food that could contain allergens. Okay. United also says its policy that it cannot guarantee an allergen-free environment or prohibit passengers from eating food brought on board that may contain allergens like peanuts. So it's like, look, we'll try our best, but we can't guarantee it. But then listen to this. This is in their policy that this staff member, the steward, this flight attendant should have known. Customers can request an allergy buffer zone that includes notifying other passengers seated nearby to refrain from eating any allergen-containing products they may have brought on board.
You can ask people. They don't have to comply, but you can at least make the request. And I would argue that it actually behooves the airline and everybody aboard the flight. Because why? Because if something happens and this kid has a medical emergency in the middle of your flight, y'all are turning around and going back to where you came from.
Exactly.
So it really does, it's for the benefit of everyone to make sure that nothing bad happens to this little boy, this young man. I mean, and why wouldn't you want to? If you know someone has a horrible allergy and they serve peanuts on the airplane, then why wouldn't you want to be careful?
Right. Like, in all honesty, you're right. Like, she could have just been like to the people in front of her, behind her, maybe across the aisle. Hey, just to let you know, if you have anything with peanuts, can you maybe not eat them right now? My son has a major food allergy. It's not hard to be accommodating.
I haven't heard though that if you had a peanut allergy and you and I are sitting next to each other and I ate the peanuts, Sam not next to you, Sam in the row behind you, right? Well, I'm not going to touch anything that you're going to touch.
Right. It's the dust.
So there's no cross contamination there.
It's the dust. It's dust.
But it's the peanut dust. It floats through the air, and okay,
that's what they
All
say.
right.
That it's very that especially people with peanut allergies can be very. I mean, because you know it, you dump it, and you don't think about things like this, but also the recirculated air and
sure.
I mean, that's what I've heard from peanut.
I'm on board with that.
Peanut allergies. It's the dust that can kind of float, and you don't even realize it. So I don't know how many of you guys watch Top Chef. I love cooking shows. I watch Top Chef.
Yeah.
This year they actually it's like some sort of all-star thing, whatever. They have a person on there with a walnut allergy, and they were cooking, and somebody was chopping walnuts, and the dust, because they didn't eat it, got and her throat started swelling. She had to be like kind of pulled off to the side, and she was given an EpiPen and all sorts of things. So and then the next episode, which was funny, they were cooking in a kitchen. And the woman with the walnut allergy actually put a mask on, like a really tight mask. And they're like, why are you wearing a mask? Because, everyone's thinking COVID or whatever. She's like, you're using walnuts. I'm not even going to try. And I don't know if it's 100%, but I'm sure it cuts down on the risk of breathing that stuff in and having a reaction. Absolutely.
I mean, can you not go for however long your flight is? How long does it take to get from Florida to Texas? 2 hours ish?
Oh, I don't
Can you not go for okay, say it's 4 hours.
Right.
Can you not go for 4 hours without eating peanuts in your life?
Some people are just asses. You know what I mean?
Take the little packet and put it in your purse or your carry-on and have it later.
And they give you like what, Cheez-Its or those cheddar flavored peanuts, or not peanuts, pretzels.
Right.
At least they do on Southwest.
So when my kids were in certain classes where there was a kid with a peanut allergy, you would get the flyer sent home, and it would say, we have another student that's allergic. So this year, this classroom is peanut free or it's a nut free class.
Right.
Was it annoying to not be able to send my kids pack the lunch with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or whatever nut? Yeah, a little bit annoying, but I'll take that annoyance knowing that I'm not going to put some other life in danger. I mean, why wouldn't you want to err on the side of health for someone?
Well, and then you just love these people. It's like, protect the children. The children are so important. And there's one tiny, small little thing you could do for a couple of hours of your entire life. And, oh my God, how can I not eat my peanuts as if you're going to die?
No one wants to be inconvenienced for the behalf of someone else. Right?
Exactly.
If it was your kid with a peanut allergy, you'd be like, listen, my kid could die. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And you shouldn't have to be that. You should just be like, he has an allergy. Oh, no problem. I'll eat it later. It's really not that difficult.
It's interesting. My dad saw the note about it's a nut-free classroom, and he went off. Like, people expect you to, to bend to their will and to do this and that, and it's another thing you have to do, and he was very upset that, someone else would be prevailing upon anyone else in the classroom to help their situation. But sometimes it takes a village. And sometimes I think we find things to be upset over when really that doesn't rise to the level of let's get that upset about it.
And when's the last time that he ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Right. I mean, how does it really impact your life? So my son he doesn't really eat that many peanut butter sandwiches. He actually likes jelly sandwiches, but I make him put the peanut butter on there for protein. But when he was younger, it was kind of the same thing. It was, okay, we have to be mindful of other kids. And of course, it's easy to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches are delicious to those that can eat it. But if it's going to save a kid from having a reaction, just freaking do it, people. It's not that difficult.
No.
Okay. So I see this message from John. I love all of you. So if you are just joining us, if you missed the beginning of the show, if you don't follow me on any of my social media platforms, which is crazy, you should totally do it. You can find us on pretty much all of them. I have been looking for this Entenmann's cheese-filled coffee crumb cake. Okay.
Yep.
And many of you are looking for me. I have an update. During this show, my sister, who lives in Florida, texted me. Now, I'm still not getting my hopes up. Not saying that it's not going to happen, but this is the most promising update that we have gotten. So she texted me. She's like, hey, send me your new address, because obviously I just moved. The store is currently out, but as soon as they get them back, I will send them to you.
Okay. So I have a deal for her.
Them. Yes.
She can send you the coffee cake, and in return, we from the great state of California will send her back her alligator.
There you go.
Right?
There you go.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're still on hold. I'm not until I see this coffee cake right in front of my face. I'm not going to believe it's actually going to happen. It's one of those things where, so John writes in, I called Kroger's in Medford because somebody emailed me saying they were in Medford, Oregon.
Yeah.
And they did not have Entenmann's New York coffee cake with the pastry, the cheese inside. I'm still looking.
Yeah.
I had to resort to calling them. I'm not gonna. I'm still on the hunt. And again, even if my sister sends it, if you find it in your neck of the woods, I'll pay you. I want all the cake, all of it. Send them all to me. I really, really want it. So we shall see if it actually happens. I will keep you posted. Let me give some shout outs to those that donated to our super chat. Thank you, Think Forward, with the $20 donation.
Really
I
kind.
appreciate you. I love you so, so much. Cheryl also coming in with a $20 donation into our super chat. You guys, this is what makes us want to do it.
Yeah.
Wes with a $10, tracking how long Kim can go without her eye. The eye on the keyboard. I wanted to share this story real quickly before we give the other thank yous. For years, and I'm not even kidding, my MacBook laptop, okay? Some of the keys didn't work. My kids spilled something. Okay. I don't know if it dried out enough. All of a sudden, I bought an external keyboard that I had to plug in. All of a sudden, I'm not even kidding, the keyboard started working again. So
just bide my time. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe. We'll see. But anyways, we'll see how long it lasts.
I pried the eye off a couple days ago and tried to clean it with a Q-tip and
ruined everything else.
And this paper clip. And my husband walked in and he's like, I don't want to know what you're doing right now.
You're ruining everything is what you're doing. That's what you're doing. $25 from Deidre. Thank you so, so much from Lozica Concrete. Thank you, Deidre. And she says, thank you for being the voices in the background of my day. I love it. Rosalie with the $20 super sticker. Mwah, you get a kiss. And then John started us off with a $21 donation. $1 and a $20. I appreciate and I love you guys so very much. I love the community that we formed. I want to keep it going. And so again, if you can donate to the show, please do. And the links to everything is right there. The NikkiMedoroShow.com. The NikkiMedoroShow.com. Tomorrow we're going to talk about homeless. A new report actually came out today where many groups are calling for California to put in permanent funding to deal with housing. We'll get into all of that plus so much more tomorrow. Bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful blossom. You're all so the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.